In the complex arena of international politics where nations navigate a delicate balance of power and influence, some leaders throughout history have resorted to unconventional tactics, using chaos as a weapon to achieve their objectives. They thrive on uncertainty, leveraging it to their advantage. The Madman theory is one such strategy, a calculated gamble that plays on the psychology of adversaries. It involves projecting an image of unpredictability, even irrationality, to intimidate adversaries and gain leverage in negotiations. The goal is to make the opponent believe you are capable of anything. President Nixon famously used this during the Cold War as a deliberate tactic to influence his adversaries. He hoped the Soviets and North Vietnam would fear he might go nuclear or take other drastic measures if pushed too far, thereby compelling them to negotiate on his terms. The trick is to appear just unstable enough to scare, to create a sense of unease and uncertainty in the minds of your opponents, but not so much that allies abandon you, fearing your recklessness, or that enemies strike first, preemptively neutralizing the perceived threat. It's a delicate balancing act. Decades later, Donald Trump revived this playbook, bringing a new dimension to the concept of unpredictability in international relations. But with a twist, his unpredictability is not just a calculated act, a strategic tool. It's an integral part of his brand, his persona, and his approach to leadership. Trump's approach isn't about one big, carefully orchestrated threat designed to achieve a specific outcome. It's about constant disruption across the board, on trade agreements, long-standing alliances, and established diplomatic norms. Traditional diplomacy values predictability, fostering trust and stability through established protocols and consistent communication. Trump throws that out, favoring bluster, impulsive decisions, and sudden reversals that often leave allies and adversaries alike scrambling to understand his intentions. Supporters call it a bold and decisive way to break through political gridlock, challenge the status quo, and put America first on the global stage. Critics warn it's reckless and dangerous, eroding trust in international institutions, undermining established alliances, and risking global chaos. The central question remains, is this a display of strategic genius, a calculated risk taken to achieve specific objectives, or a dangerous flirtation with instability, a reckless gamble that could have far-reaching and potentially devastating consequences? The world is still grappling with this question, carefully observing the unfolding events and anxiously searching for the answer. Trump's Madman theory. It's a strategy, a calculated risk, designed to keep adversaries guessing. Is front and center in his foreign policy, a deliberate tactic to create uncertainty and leverage advantage. With North Korea, he threatened fire and fury, a stark warning that reverberated across the globe. Then pivoted to historic summits, a dramatic shift in tone and approach, leaving the world guessing about his true intentions and next move. In trade, he launched a tariff war with China, disrupting global supply chains and sparking economic anxieties. Then abruptly signaled truces, offering glimmers of hope and keeping markets in Beijing off balance, unsure of what the future held. Even NATO wasn't spared, a cornerstone of Western defense for decades. Trump questioned its value, unsettling allies and demanding they pay more for defense, challenging the very foundation of the alliance. His sudden withdrawal from Syria shocked partners and shifted the balance of power overnight, creating a vacuum and leaving regional players scrambling to fill it. Supporters say he's keeping promises and forcing others to step up, finally holding other nations accountable. Critics see chaos and danger, a reckless disregard for established norms and international stability. In every case, Trump disrupts the status quo, challenging conventional wisdom and upending expectations, forcing others to react on his terms, constantly playing catch-up in a world he reshaped with each unpredictable move. It's a high-stakes gamble, a constant test of wills and nerves, sometimes yielding results but always raising the risk of unintended consequences and escalating tensions on the global stage. Trump's unpredictability rattled allies and emboldened rivals. European leaders once confident in U.S. support began planning for a future without it, boosting defense budgets and seeking more autonomy. NATO's unity was shaken as Trump questioned its core commitments. Russia and China saw opportunities to expand influence, but also faced the risk of sudden U.S. moves. Adversaries found it hard to predict Trump, forcing them into a defensive posture. Allies scrambled to adapt, building new security plans. The world became more cautious, less trusting, and more fragmented. Trump's madman theory kept everyone guessing, and off balance. July 2025. The world watches, holding its breath. Trump's potential political comeback looms large on the horizon, reigniting anxiety and uncertainty among U.S. allies across the globe. The prospect of his return to power is causing considerable unease. His past threats to NATO, including suggesting he'd allow Russia to act against delinquent member states, are being taken with utmost seriousness by European leaders and policymakers alike. They are not dismissing these statements as mere rhetoric. The ongoing war in Ukraine hangs precariously in the balance, its future uncertain, with Trump boldly claiming he possesses the ability to end the conflict in a mere 24 hours, a promise that raises both hopes and concerns. This leaves allies fearing the possibility of a sudden and potentially destabilizing U.S. withdrawal of support for Ukraine. Consequently, European leaders are actively accelerating their plans for greater military self-reliance and strategic autonomy. They are diligently preparing for a future world order where America's long-term commitment to global security is no longer guaranteed. Trump's supporters argue that he is simply forcing allies to finally take greater responsibility for their own defense and security. However, critics strongly warn that his actions are actively undermining decades of carefully cultivated stability and mutual trust among nations. The mere possibility, the very real prospect of his return to power, is already profoundly reshaping the landscape of global security. Allies are actively engaged in Trump-proofing their policies and international agreements, bracing themselves for the potential of even more disruption and uncertainty on the world stage. The sheer power of unpredictability, the looming question mark, is already fundamentally changing the dynamics of the world we live in. Trump's Madman theory has left a mark. Trust in U.S. reliability is shaken. Diplomacy depends on credibility. Unpredictability makes long-term cooperation harder. Some say the chaos forced overdue changes in alliances and trade. Others fear its normalized instability, making the world more dangerous. The risk: one misread move could trigger real conflict. If more leaders embrace this style, global politics could become even riskier. The post-war order is under threat. Will disruption bring strength or chaos? The answer will shape the 21st century.